Okay, let's do a little quick tutorial here on how to export and different ways of doing that. Now, I've loaded up a small little dungeon here just to show you. It's just the inside of a library. Let me click that and we'll zoom in a little bit here so you can see the detail. All right, so a fairly simple two-story building. Alright, and say that I want to go ahead and take this and pull it into like Photoshop and work on it further. So, and so now you need to export it. So, use the export function underneath the file. And of course it brings you to this, which first thing you should do. Now this won't function unless you do this. Hit your browse. I'm going to go up to my desktop. You can go to wherever you want to place your image. Now you have a choice of bitmap here, JPEG, PNG, EMF, and I don't know, this just says in all files. I think everything says in all files, and every drop down. But anyways, let's go with bitmap just for the heck of it. I mean, PNG would probably be better because you're using vector style graphics, so you're it would probably come out a little bit more smoother and not so bitmappy. But for the sake of this tutorial, just to make things kind of easy and utilizing it in a bitmap sort of way, because most software uses bitmaps. We'll do this. We'll call this a library. Alright, so this will create a library, and we hit the save, although it did not save it. Alright, just to let you know, it didn't save. Otherwise you would see it up here in this little top corner here showing you that I have a bitmap. Now let's go to our image width. So we want to come out, well, if you had figured out how wide this is and everything, and this is for you guys that use this in the virtual tabletops, you can actually calculate the number of pixels, and then your width, as in your width of your reference square here in the center, which is for lining up your grid. You can figure all that out, print the whole thing off, and then reduce it in your software of choice, like cropping it down, and you'd still retain the amount of pixels per 5 foot square. You can do that. For me, I mean, I use Fantasy Grounds, so you can on the fly change the where the square starts and how big it is and everything. So that kind of helps. So let's I usually go export really large maps to work on. So let's go with well, we'll just make it somewhat large. The width will be 5,000 pixels. You can go ahead and do all your calculating and figure out 1024 to whatever 2000 whatever, however 2560 pixels if you want, or whatever denominations of the way that computers calculate out stuff. But for this case, 5,000, and you have your choice. And export the entire map, the displayed extents, which means this displayed extents that you see on the screen, as you see it in Fractal Mapper, or a selected area. I'm going to choose selected area, so I'm going to start at the bottom corner here and lift up. Maybe we'll cut it down right about to there. Okay. All right. Now I wish you could zoom in on this and really pick your spot, because when you start working with a larger map, oh man, it's just like you know, the details, you just can't see them, especially if it's a huge world map, and then if you want to just get a portion of that, well then you're kind of guessing. So I wish you had a zoom function in here. You don't, so we deal with it as is. There we go. We have our where we're going to put it, how big it is, and the way we're exporting it. Also, you know, the type of file. So we hit OK, and you should see it up here when it forms. There we go. We have a library bitmap right here. So I'll just open this up in I'm using Windows XP. So open it up here. So now you can see that we have you know, the detail is going to be pretty good at 5,000 pixels. So there you go. The image looks pretty good. I mean, there's a few flaw thingies in here which I'll have to get rid of. Might have to work on a few things in here, some lines and stuff like that. So kind of, you know, limitations with the software sometimes, you know. So anyways, that gets you into a situation where, you know, you can use that bitmap and start working on that. So maybe I'll do some quick stuff here just to kind of show you. I'm using a really old version of Adobe Photoshop. So I'm going to bring this up. It's old, very old. I can't afford to upgrade. I'm really I just don't believe in buying, you know, just frivolous kind of stuff. Okay, it's off my screen here because it's on my Cintiq right now. So let me bring it up. It's on a totally different monitor here. And I'm not going to be doing anything that's going to involve any, you know, using a pen tablet here to do special things to it. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you what I quickly do in order to kind of enhance the image here. Now, one thing that I do with dungeons sometimes is I go ahead and I select the black around the edge, and go ahead and we'll copy, and we will go ahead and paste. So it will paste it onto a new layer here. Bring up my layers. Zit 2 is on the other screen. Alright, so we have one layer with everything taken off, and another layer here, one above the other. And of course my version of Photoshop instantly locks the background layer, so I have to duplicate the layer to get rid of the properties, because I've found no way to unlock the actual picture. So there we go. I could get rid of this background image now and have everything locked, but I'll just keep it back here just so that it is a, you know, a reference to go back to in case I screw up something over here. Let's go to the first layer here, which is the black. I'll go to the layer style, and we'll go ahead and do a bevel and emboss on it first off. Alright, so we will go ahead and utilize a chisel we'll try chisel soft at first here, and we'll crank up the depth, size, and that's with a chiseled soft. Let's try chiseled hard. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so you're seeing we're getting a beveled effect along the edge of the walls here. So you could really crank up the depth and the size here if you wanted to, like so. Well, it doesn't look particularly, you know, I prefer to keep it kind of low, just along the edge. So it gives it a little bit of depth, but not, you know, it doesn't overwhelm you. Now we'll go ahead and use a drop shadow. So let's click over here and get our drop shadow happening. So let's see, give it a bit of a distance, give it a bit of a spread in size. Let's see, and I like a little bit of noise. Crank that up. Let's see. Alright, now we're starting to see it on the image, and you can see it's actually taking a part of this right here and using it. Now it doesn't look particularly realistic along the sides here where we've got a wall that separates. So something you have to keep in mind. I might want to go ahead and draw that in with a black line with my Cintiq, and then that would cause this to contour out and separate the walls. So, but that's showing you basics in the Photoshop that I would use to go ahead and enhance the walls. So right now I'll just cancel everything. I don't really want to do that. What I really want to do is put in a new layer here, and we will we'll do this by clicking the new layer, which goes in between the black that I've separated out and the actual picture. And I will go ahead and use a filter called render and clouds. So, but I won't use those colors. Let's use we'll make it look like something really vintagey, old. We'll use a brown. We'll get that brown down here, and we will use a white over here. Whoop. Let's click that and get the brown. There we go. So we got brown and white. We'll go ahead and do that again. Filter clouds. There we go. Now we'll go ahead and blur that out a little bit. It's a Gaussian blur. That's a little too much. We still want to have some form of detail, but more splotchy. There we go. So we're like that. If you want to keep your square here white, I just go ahead and select that and make sure that we are, because in this version of Photoshop, whoop, let's not do that, because in this version of Photoshop it will sometimes select the actual other layer when you do that. So go there and edit cut. So now it's back to a white. Now we're still on the cloud layer, and we will go ahead and change that to a, let's try an overlay. You can see it lightens up everything really majorly here, see, in particular spots. We will try a darken, which does that, multiply, which actually is more of the effect that we kind of want. We can try the different ones, blur, burn, color burn, lineal burn, lighten, screen, color dodge, linear dodge. You can also reduce the opacity on this too as well. So if it looks a little too overbearing, then if say this is kind of what the effect that you want is, this kind of spotty kind of thing, you can go ahead and, but you don't want so much of it, you can reduce the opacity of the layer, and thus it reduces the effect but still gives you a little variance on the color. Let's put that back. Opacity, I should say. There we go. Not the fill. So that's what it would look like if it's totally opaque and then totally overridden with a bit of overlay. Hard light, vivid light, all kinds of different things. Let's go with we'll try the vivid light and we will go ahead and reduce it a little bit. There, it gives it a little bit of a variance in there. It's kind of random, so it's not all kind of like one color. And we'll go okay. That's what we want. We can zoom in, take a look at it a little bit better here. Zoom, there we go. I use a whole ton of software, so sometimes I'm like, where is this again? Alright, so that's what we're getting at here. You go back down here and off the screen, adjust and move her over. Okay, now when I exported this, you can do something like also you can get rid of all the extra like the back, like the floors, everything. You can turn them all off and then just have the tables and the chairs, and that way you can export them separately. And what Fractal Mapper does is it remembers the way that you exported the first time. So if you had that area selected, it won't go back to default state. So it will keep that area selected again, so that when you go ahead and export, it's going to be the exact same thing that you've exported before, only if you do a second export and take away all of these, all the, say, the walls and everything, but you only leave the furniture, that way you can lift the furniture up kind of the way that I've done with this black layer here, and have all the furniture lifted, and then you can go ahead and put that furniture back down with a drop shadow, so then everything looks like it's higher up and more three-dimensional. So just keep that in mind. I didn't go into that kind of detail on this one. I didn't think I would need to, but I'm just letting you know that that's another option that you can use that would bring out details a little bit better. I usually do stuff really quickly because my gaming group goes all over the place, and I need to prototype stuff out really fast so that they can get into gaming right away, and I try to do this stuff as quickly as possible. So I would present this as being the map. That's fine for them. It's giving them an idea of everything that they need to know about the place, and how to access the different areas. If there's a fight, they know exactly where everything is, and that's the main thing. If I was to do this like professionally, I've got some killer maps that I've done, just so that they are up there in quality. But in this particular example, this is really simple and fast, and just to get stuff done. And I believe most DMs out there just want to get at least this rudimentary type of detail so that they can get their game going and get it going fast. But yeah, if you want to get more detailed, go ahead and export just your objects as a separate export, and then go ahead and lift them as I've done with the black, only it would be the opposite. You'd be instead of lifting the black, you would be lifting the colored objects, and start putting drop shadows down and details and blood smears everywhere if that's what if that's needed for the particular area, and just keep on going until you've really outdone yourself. So there you go. Basic how to export and importing into Photoshop or whatever you're going to use to import your item into, do more details to it. I can show you this. I'll show you stuff in Open Canvas. I'll show you stuff in Dog Waffle. Dog Waffle's really, I think it's called Howler now, but I use the older version Dog Waffle because I just want to. Yeah, it has some really cool vegetation and effects that are just totally awesome. I'll do some stuff in ZBrush too. All the software that I have that you could use, although some of it's really expensive, some of it's fairly cheap, some of it's next to free. So just stay tuned, and we'll get into those kinds of softwares later on, and have fun with them. We'll even do some just Microsoft Paint. We'll even use that and show you how you can make a map with that. I'll show you how to do stuff with just this is without using a pen tablet or anything, but I'll show you how to do stuff with the pen tablet. And I also, like I say, I use a Cintiq, which is like having a monitor built into the tablet, and I do a lot of stuff that way. And we'll get into some of that too, because a lot of people are now having the PC tablets, which kind of work the same way, although not as detailed, but it is all the same kind of cool stuff that you can do. You can even do stuff on your phone. I'm going to try and find an app that'll do stuff on my Android phone, and I'll see if I can draw something up using that. Was maybe one of the free apps out there or something. Okay, so thanks for tuning in, and we'll get to another episode pretty soon. I'll just find something to do. I'm sure there'll be something to do. But also make sure you catch me on the live broadcasting. I'm going to be doing that quite a bit. And even if nobody shows up, I'll still go ahead and post what I'm doing, and people can watch the live show recorded. Okay, see you guys. Bye.